It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about e-learning. Now, e-learning may seem like a weird concept, because why would my channel be covering this? I usually cover tools for IT and tools for MSPs and tools for you at home and things that you can do in your home lab. Why would you want to do an e-learning tool in your home lab? One, to learn how to set it up and learn what it takes to really get it going, because most e-learning software is extremely complex and extremely powerful, but it does take some configuration to really get it set up the way that you need it. Two, as an IT group or an MSP or a business wanting to do anything tech related, it's generally a good idea to have some kind of training platform for whatever that is. Now, my concept at this point is, as I'm trying to start an MSP, how do I train my users to have good practices? The other day, my client that I have had a Windows laptop that was filled with malware and nastiness, and I just basically had to destroy the laptop, get their data, of course, clean it up, and then pull it all back together, and it was miserable. But one of the things I know is their habits online are not good, and I could see that from their online histories, things like that, as I was going through this. So the places where they were getting the malware from is one of those things. So training them on better practices and best practices is a good idea. I prefer to do that than to treat people like children, where I'm cutting off their access to certain websites or things like that, because then they end up calling you saying, hey, I need to access this, because you didn't realize why they needed it. As a product manager, I worked at a company where I was the product manager for a public safety software suite, and in the process of doing that, creating records management software and things like that, I had to look things up online that a lot of times might get the FBI to flag you as somebody, and definitely would hit our network's permissions because they didn't want us looking at those things. We had to go explain to them, like, I have to go look these things up so that I can understand how the reporting works, so that I can understand, this. That's why my search has this in the term and you're blocking it. So they would have to turn all those things off. So to me, again, education is the best way to go to help people understand the things that they need to know in order to make your job, your services, everything else run more smoothly. Moodle is an e-learning system that is open source, so we're going to get it set up today. It did take a little bit of work for me to do that. I'm going to help you go through and get this all set up and running with your own subdomain, using a reverse proxy, making sure it's secure, everything like that. This is not an in-depth tutorial on how to use Moodle. This is just a tutorial on how to get Moodle up and running in your home lab or on your services or for your business or whatever it may be, so that you can start putting some training into it for your users, for your employees, for your clients, for whoever, to get out there and start doing some learning online. Now, this can be for e-learning. This could also be used for scheduling actual in-person trainings and classes and things like that. It becomes really a portal for training, which is great. But this is not an in-depth tutorial on how to set up the actual Moodle software once you're into it and how to configure all the things and stuff like that. I don't want you to think that, and I don't want you to go down that road thinking that that's what we're doing. All that said, we're going to get into the installation of Moodle right after this. I just want to say thank you so much to all of my patrons out there at Patreon. I truly appreciate the continued support that you provide all the time. I mean, just constantly. It's every month I get more support from you guys, and it just means so much to me because you're supporting me, you're supporting the channel, and you're supporting the open source community all at the same time. And that just means so much to me as an open source advocate. I can't tell you how much it means. So thank you, thank you, thank you. To all the people who send me buy me a beer, buy me a coffee through PayPal as a one-off, man, it brightens my day when I see that notification come through. So thank you. Truly, truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. There's so many days where I need that right now. I truly appreciate it. For everybody who's subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. That helps the channel grow. That helps the algorithms for YouTube push the channel out to more people who might like the content, who might want to know about amazing open source software. I have over 200 videos about open source software. I probably have close to 300 videos at this point about open source software, and it's all incredible, and it's all powerful, and it's all just amazing, and I want more and more people to learn about it, so thank you. If you haven't already done so, go down and click on that subscribe button, click the thumbs up, and click on the little bell icon so you get notifications about new videos about incredible open source software. I'm putting them out constantly, so I hope you'll come along on that ride with us. Thank you so much. Now let's get started putting Moodle into place. Now, as always, I'm going to have timestamps down in the description, and that also puts them on the little timing bar for YouTube videos. So somewhere along here, you should be able to go down and hover and move to the timestamp you're more interested in. If you're just getting here and this is the only video of mine you've ever seen and you've never set up a VM or a server before and you're wondering how do I do some of the things I'm telling you to do, I'm not telling you how to set up a VM or a server, but I will tell you how to create a user who is not root but has sudo or super user privileges. And I'm also going to tell you how to install Docker and Docker Compose because that's what we're going to use for this application. Now, Docker is just a virtualization system. Don't let the term scare you. All it is creating a really efficient virtual machine, but you can jump into it and do things in the command line just like you can any other application. So first, let's create a user that is not the root user. So you'll notice I am not root, I am Brian. So I created this user that is not the root user, and here's how I did that. In most Linux systems, you can type add user and then the username you want. So I typed Brian. If your name's Mike, you could type Mike. If your name's Kim, you could type Kim. It's up to you, whatever user you want. When you do that and hit enter, it depends on the system you get. Some systems will prompt you right away for a password and a confirmation. Go ahead and type in a nice strong password that you'll remember and then confirm it. And then it might ask you for a little more information like your name and address. You don't have to put any of that stuff in, but you can if you want to. You can just go through that, and at the end, you'll have a new user in your system. Now, if you're on a system that doesn't automatically ask you for a password, that's okay. You can still put a password in for that user, and you need to. And you can do that with passwd and then that username you created. So if you created Brian, you could do that. If you did Mike, same thing, or Kim, whatever the username is you did, just passwd space and that username. And the system's going to prompt you for the first time to say, put in the password and then confirm it. Now, if you want to confirm that you have that user after that's done, you can do ls/home like that. And you should see that user's name there. So you see my name is here. This is the default user that came on the virtual machine that I'm running right now, but that's okay. I don't use it. I'm logged in as Brian. Once you've got that user set up, you also want to make that user a super user, which means they can do things that the root user, the most powerful user, can do, but only if they type in their password. So somebody couldn't hack into your account and just type in super great stuff. They would have to have your password to be able to do that as well. So at least it tries to create a barrier where it's a little bit harder for somebody to do things. And when you're logged in as root, if you just leave your computer and somebody comes over and they try to do something nefarious, they'll have to know your password before they can do that. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to just change the user's group. Assuming you're logged in as root, you would do user mod space -a capital G. And then we're going to type in the group name, which is sudo and Debian and Ubuntu systems. If it's that system, you'd type in sudo. And then the username that you want to make sudo. So Brian, Mike, Kim, whatever. If you're on a Fedora or Red Hat or CentOS system, instead of sudo for the group, you're going to type wheel, and then you'll type in the username. And again, hit enter, and then it's going to change that person to being a super user. So now you could log out of root, log back in as that user, and that user will have sudo privileges, which means you can run things that require the root user, but as your user, you just have to put in your password to do it. And this is a much more secure way to run your system. All right, once you've got that sudo user created, you've logged out, logged back in. I'm going to assume you're logged in now as your non-root user with sudo privileges. We're going to install Docker and Docker Compose. Now again, I've already got Docker and Docker Compose installed on here, but I'm going to show you how I did it, and it's one line. So we're going to use curl, and we're going to say https://get.docker.com. We're going to do a space and then that vertical pipe and then space sh. So what this says is use curl. Go out to this site, grab the script that's there, and run it with the shell. I want you to run the script to install Docker. So it's going to start running. It's going to prompt you again, potentially for that super user password, depending on how long it's been since you entered it. You'll type in your super user password if it asks you, and it's going to go through and install Docker and Docker Compose. Now, if you happen to be on a Linux distro that does not get covered by that script, there are instructions out at docker.com that will help you get it installed on your distro. So go out there and check those out. But most distros should be covered by the thing I just showed. This video is sponsored by me. That's right. Did you know that I wrote a novel? I did. And it's a science fiction novel. It follows a guy named Dave, who's a pretty normal guy with a normal job, who happens to fall into a little bit of a less normal job, but doesn't realize it. He goes on some incredible adventures. He has some really cool things that he has to get done. It's just a passion project. I think you're going to love it. It's an action. It's an adventure. It's just so much fun. I understand if you don't want to do Patreon or PayPal, but maybe you'd like to get something out of some money that you're donating back to me. So by buying a book, you're paying me back, and at the same time, you're getting something out of it. You can jump over to Amazon. I'll have links in the description. You can jump over and get the ebook, the paperback, or the hardcover. I'll have links for as many countries as I can get links for, so no matter where you are, you can get a copy of the book. It is English only. It has not been translated. I just do want to put that out there, but I hope you'll get it. I hope you'll enjoy it, and let me know that you enjoyed it as well. Now let's get back to the program. And once you've done that, you now want to add your user to the Docker group. So assuming you're not logged in as root anymore, you'll do sudo usermod -a capital G, just like we did before. So this means modify the user and add them to the group. And this time we want the Docker group. And then again, you'll type in the name, Brian or Mike or Kim or whatever your name is, okay? Get out there and type that in. When you hit enter, it's going to add you to that Docker group. Once you've been added to that Docker group, you need to either log out and back in. So you can do exit and then just SSH right back in. Or if you don't want to do that, you can do newgrp, hit enter, and then newgrp docker, just like that. And that's going to set you temporarily in with the ability to do Docker things without having to type sudo every time. So I can do docker ps, and you see I get all of the titles. I haven't installed anything here yet, but I see all of the titles for the table that I would see if I had anything running. Now, if you have stuff running already in Docker, you're going to see this header bar. All right, now that we've got Docker installed, we've got your user set up, we're ready to actually go out and grab Moodle and get it set up. So let's create a little bit of a directory structure to help us keep everything together and make it easy to back up. So we're going to do mkdir-p docker/Moodle. Let me spell it right. There we go. So this says, make a directory with the path docker/Moodle. And it says, if Docker doesn't exist, create it. If it does exist, use it. And then inside of Docker, if Moodle doesn't exist, create it. If it does exist, just use it. So we're going to create that folder. Now we're going to move into that folder. And we have to create a few other things inside of here, but we want them all inside of this folder right here. So we're going to do a make directory. Now you can do all of this in one command if you want to. I'm just going to do it in separate commands, but I'm just going to say make directory, and we're going to create a few directories actually. I want to make sure I spell these right, so let me grab my notes just to make sure I'm getting them correct. Yes, okay, good. So we're going to do Moodle_data, just like that. And then we're going to do it again, and we're going to do MariaDB_data. And we're going to do one more, and it's going to be Moodle data all together, and then _data. So you should see these three things, Moodle_data, MariaDB all together, _data, and then Moodle data all together, _data. I'll just hit enter for that last one. And when we do an ls, we can see that we've got those three folders created. Great. Now we're going to create one file, and we're going to put some information in it and edit it. And this is our compose file that helps the Docker system know what to pull down and what to run. So we're going to do nano, and that's just the text editor. If you prefer a different text editor, feel free to use whichever one you prefer. I like nano, it's pretty simple. So we're going to do compose.yaml like this. It's going to open up, it's going to be blank. We expect it to be blank because we haven't put anything in it yet. We're just creating that file. I'm going to grab all of this stuff that I've got over here, and I'm going to paste it in, and we'll go through it together and make some adjustments. And you'll be able to get this out of my show notes. I always have show notes down in the description with step-by-step instructions of how to do these things. All of the commands I'm showing you, everything is there so that you can go through it step-by-step after the video as well, and you're not having to stop and pause the video and try to type everything in from what's on my screen. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here and paste it in. We're going to go back to the top here. So we're going to start off with services. This is just telling you like, hey, I'm about to define the services for this application. The first service is MariaDB. The image we're going to use is Docker.io, Bitnami, MariaDB latest. That's fine. And we're going to give it a container name of Moodle_MySQL. Now you can change this to MariaDB. I don't know why it set Moodle MySQL, but that's fine. We'll leave it as that. No need to change it if we don't have to. Now we've got the MariaDB root password. So we're going to go over here and we're going to get rid of this stuff. Anything where I've put the less than and greater than around is just a placeholder. We actually want to put in a nice, long, strong password. So I'm going to show you one. You don't have to copy it. You shouldn't copy it. You should create your own, but it should be really long and really strong. And don't worry, I'm going to delete this after the video's over, so it's okay if you see it. But I'm just going to put in lowercase letters like this, and then some numbers, and then a couple of uppercase letters, and then some other letters and some numbers. and letters, and I'm just going to mix things in a little bit, and I'm going to go just with my fingers all random, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to put in a couple of uppercase letters here like that. So we've got a nice long strong root password. Okay, nothing you have to remember, just something you have to put in. Here we're going to create a password for this MariaDB user called Moodle. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. It just needs to be a long strong password. So we're just going to put in some very random stuff here. In fact, let's do, and probably don't want symbols. Just be careful with symbols. You never know what that's going to do. But there we go. We've got another nice long strong password there. Everything here we're going to leave the same. Just MariaDB user and MariaDB database, Moodle, and Moodle is fine. We're going to leave this stuff the same as well. And this volume, we've already defined this. So this is that folder we created called MariaDB_data. And it's going to be mapped from our host system into the container. And the container path is /bitnami/MariaDB, which we do not want to change. You never want to change this right side. Next section is for Moodle itself. So we're going to define that this is the image it's going to use. We're going to get the container name of Moodle. We're going to go down and there's ports and it's 80, and then we're going to have 8443. These are the host ports on the left, so our virtual machine ports here, and then these are the container ports on the right. If your host port 80 and 443 are already in use, you can change the numbers on this left side. You just remember what you changed them to. So if you needed to, you could make this 8020, and this could be 10443, just don't have a space there. So you could have it set up this way, and it's very much up to you what you need. Just on the left side, you can change it. On the right side, again, don't change anything. So very important there. I'm just going to put this back the way it was because I don't need anything to be changed there. But if you do, you can change it. Just remember what you changed it to because we'll need it later. So next, we need this Moodle database host is MariaDB. The port number is 3306. The user and the database name are both Moodle. We left those alone up at the top. And it says allow empty password no, and we don't want to do that. It's correct. We don't want to allow an empty password. Now, we've got this Moodle database password, and I've put a comment out here so that you will remember, but this has to be the same as the MariaDB password from above. So we're going to go up there, and we're going to grab that bad boy. So we're just going to highlight it, and if I can highlight it, there we go. And all the way up to the equal sign there, I'm going to do Control-Shift-C to copy, or you can right-click and copy. It's up to you. I'm going to go back down to that password placeholder that I have. And I'm just going to get all of this stuff out of here because we don't need it now that we know what we're doing with it. All the way back, I'm going to do Control-Shift-V to paste, like Victor, or we can paste with right-click and paste. Here, we need to tell it what we want our host to be, what our name, what the domain name is going to be, where are people going to go to get to our learning center. So in this case, I'm going to put in, let's put in learn.opensourceisawesome.com, like that. The Moodle repository, Moodle reverse proxy. So I am going to use a reverse proxy, so I'm going to leave that as true. If you're not going to use a reverse proxy, if you're just going to go like straight to the public IP of the server where you're running Moodle, you should change this to false. You're not going to have a reverse proxy. But if you're going to use a reverse proxy like I am, leave that as true. We can leave that comment, it doesn't matter, but just know that it needs to be true. And then Moodle SSL proxy, also true. So again, if you're not going to use the SSL stuff in the reverse proxy and you're going to do something else, then change that to false. Or if you're not using reverse proxy at all, change that to false. We're going to keep going down. Now we've got SMTP data. So this is where you set up your email data. Now, I use port 587, but yours could be 465, it could be 25. You need to know what your email provider SMTP host information is. I can't tell you that because it's different for every provider, and it just is something you have to either know or learn so that you can figure that out. But you would put in the host server address, the port number that runs on. The user is usually the full email, sometimes it's not, so again, you just need to know that for your provider. The SMTP password for this user is next, and then if your SMTP protocol is TLS, you should have that. If it's SSL, you should have that. If it's none, you should have none there. You just need to go through and figure out what your settings are. Hopefully it's at least SSL, if not TLS. Then you've got the language. I've got English. You can change this to the 2-letter language abbreviation for whatever you're happy with. I'm just going to leave it as English. And here I'm going to put in an admin user as Brian, and we'll just put in an admin password for that user as well. You can change this after the site is up, but initially we're going to go ahead and just set this password. So we're going to say something really terrible that you should never use. And yeah, let's just do an @ symbol too. We'll see if that breaks it. Once we've got that, we're going to go down to the volume section. So again, we've already created these folders. So the Moodle data folder and the Moodle data_data folder have both been created, and they map to the inside of the container. Again, don't change the right side. You can only change this left side, and you need folders in that directory that we created earlier that match. So we've already got those, we're set. And this just says that the Moodle system depends on the MariaDB service up at the top. So that's why that's there. All right, we're going to hit Control-O to save our changes, and then Control-X to exit. Now we're going to do Docker compose pull. If it starts doing this, your Docker compose is at least valid. The YAML is valid. You haven't made anything mess up. And YAML is space dependent, so be very careful when you're adding spaces or removing spaces. It wants spaces to be exact and correct. But everything should pull down. It just takes a few seconds for it to pull down and extract, and then we should be ready to get things started up. So we've got it all pulled down. We're ready to start things up. We pulled down the images, so we're going to start them up with Docker compose up -d 2 ampersands Docker compose logs -f like this. And what this says is Docker compose, bring up my containers from those images I pulled down and run them detached or in the background as a daemon. Then we have a second command that says, and then Docker compose, I want to see the logs and I want to follow those logs live. So let's just hit enter. It's going to create those two containers. The first Moodle container depends on the MySQL container, remember that. So it's waiting for MySQL to get created. Now it's going to create Moodle, and it should link those together in the background for us. And once those start up, we're going to see a ton of output here. What we're really looking for is anything that's like, boom, giant error, oh my gosh, everything's broken. Or if it keeps saying exit code something and it keeps restarting, we've got something wrong that we need to go fix. So right now it says it's running the Moodle install script, which is fine. We're going to let that run. But we can see here that we've got the socket, opt, bitnami. Everything here looks okay. So it says source distribution. Everything here is looking okay so far. So we're going to let that install script run here. Now while that's running, we can go set up our reverse proxy. So what we'll do is we'll go back and I'm going to open up my reverse proxy software. I use Nginx Proxy Manager. If you use a different reverse proxy, that's fine. You just need to know how to set that up. But I'm going to go in, I'm going to add a proxy host. And if you'll remember, we called this learn.opensourceisawesome.com. I'm going to hit tab so you can see it turn into a little chip. That background color changed. I'm going to put in the IP address for this server on my network. That's what a reverse proxy does. And I'm going to put in port 80 is what it was just defaulted to. And then I'm going to hit block common exploits, WebSocket support. And I'm just going to check my other setting. I want to say that I put this as HTTPS, but let me double check and be sure. I'm going to hit save just to save what I've done. I'm going to type in learn. And you'll see both of my systems here. And no, it's just HTTP and it is on 80. So that's cool. Good. We're set. So we've actually got the reverse proxy set up, but we want to go and get SSL for it as well. So we're going to click on this little SSL tab. We're going to click on none and we're going to say request a new certificate, force SSL, and I agree. I'm going to click save. This is going to say, hey, let's encrypt. See if you can reach my site at the URL I just gave you, which is learn.opensourceisawesome.com. And if you can, issue me a let's encrypt certificate for the site for SSL. If the little pop-up goes away like it just did, then you've got the SSL site and you've got this Let's Encrypt that it says right here. I'm just going to go back in. For some reason, my Nginx Proxy Manager just doesn't like me to turn all these other things on the first time. It's okay if I do it this way, so I just have to go in and adjust that. I like to go back and turn on all the SSL stuff. So now I'm going to click on learn.opensourceisawesome.com, and it's just going to tell us new site. So as you can imagine, that's not super helpful. But if we go here and we go to /admin, it's going to bring us to our admin page. Now we're going to use the user that we set up earlier and the password, and we're going to see if we can get logged in. I don't know why it keeps not letting me continue typing. It's really weird. There we go. We'll hit login. Did I remember the right password? I did. So I can tell all this stuff. There's no need to remember it. And we are in. So now we can complete our site registration. We can go through and set up the site information. So I can say this is OSIA Learning, and I can say organization type. I don't want to share it. Do not list my site. If you don't want your site listed on their stuff, then just leave it not listed. Moodle powered by Bitnami is the description. That's fine if you want to leave that. Or you can say learning about open source. English is the language, but if you need to change it, you've got a lot of other options here. So feel free to go in and change it to the language that makes sense for you. Country, we're going to put United States. So I've got to go all the way down here. There we go. And then this one here, I'll put in my email. Oops, it actually filled in user@example.com. They should just make that a placeholder. And then here we go. Yes, notify me of no, I don't want that. And so I don't want to do any of those things. And yes, I agree to the privacy notice. And then there's more information. So, and then we're going to say register our site. If I typed everything in, it should be okay. It looks like it's working up here. It doesn't give you a lot of really great feedback that it's doing something. There we go. Just takes a minute, and it says site registration confirmed. Thank you for registering your site. Registration information will be kept to date. So there we go. We hit continue. And right off the bat, you get some notifications. And you'll notice this still says new site. So even though I registered it, they didn't take the site name that I gave it and apply it here. And I don't know. I feel like it's all code. They could have just done that. But instead, they're going to make me go dig to find the right settings to do this. But that's okay. Important updates about chat and survey activities. So you can read these things. You've got check for available updates. You've got enable web services for mobile devices. So they do have a mobile application as well, which makes it really nice for people who want to use their mobile to do any kind of training. So you've got a lot of things here on this kind of home page that you can check out, look through. Up here at the very top, you've got different tabs. You've got home, dashboard, my courses, and then site administration. So right now we're on site administration. You've got general, and then you've got users. Now, there's a bunch of stuff for users. You need to understand, like this is users, then you have accounts, and then you have all of these different things about accounts. Permissions, all of these different things about permissions. Privacy and policies, all these different things about privacy and policies. Same thing when it comes to courses. You've got a lot of subsections under these sections. Same thing for groups, same thing for plugins, and they do have a plugin system, so it's probably valuable for you to go out and learn about the plugins and see if there's any of them that would be useful for you. But look at this is long. There's a lot here. That's a lot of scrolling. There's a lot of things to be checked out. You have your appearance page. This is not as long, but there's a lot here to go through. And your site name is actually one of these things under appearance, I believe. But there are templates. You have all kinds of things you can set up in here. So definitely worthwhile to go through. You've got your navigation. You can go through and decide how you want to navigate and where you want to start. I mean, just a ton of settings. You've also got the actual server itself, so system paths, support contact, session handling, HTTP. You can put it in maintenance mode so that you can install things or take actions if you need to. And it's probably valuable to do that because if you have somebody who's trying to do a course and you're like, hey, I need to do my updates, and you try to run them and they're in the middle of a course, you're going to be upset if they're like so far through and then it doesn't save any of their stuff because you put it, you didn't change it to maintenance mode so they would know like, hey, I'm about to do some maintenance on this thing. You have cleanup environment PHP info, which is useful. So this PHP info page is really useful for you to see like, hey, what all modules do they have installed for this version of PHP? Can I go through and get these things set up the way that I want to? Very, very useful to be able to know like this thing's going to work or it's not going to work with my system, and knowing whether or not you've got the right thing set up is super helpful. We're on server. Sorry, I clicked on appearance. You've got performance indicators. You've got update notification and file types, OAuth 2 services, which is pretty nice. So definitely looking at using that here in a while because I want to set mine up to be able to do something with authentic. So OAuth 2 is always nice. As we go back, there's more sections. So a lot of sections for the service. For the server, you can go through here and check out your web services. You can set up your email, make sure everything's set up and configured correctly. You've got your tasks that you can set up as well. And then file redaction. This is kind of an important one. Sometimes you have agencies or customers who are like, hey, we have to be able to redact things occasionally. And so knowing that this is here, you might need to look into it and see how useful it is, but it is something worth knowing that it's there. You also have reports. So you have a reporting system, which is great because you can get a lot of information into a lot of these systems and there's really no way to get it back out. So having a reporting system is super useful. So definitely check that out as well. And then if you want to develop on this thing, you can go out and check out their development sites as well. Tons in this software. I just wanted to show you how to get this installed and up and running. If you're interested in the OAuth 2 or setting up LDAP or some other type of system, let me know. I'm happy to maybe do a video on that as well. So if you're interested in doing OAuth 2 or LDAP for any kind of authentication, I think OAuth 2 is going to be the way to go. I don't see anything specifically about LDAP, but we can always look. But we can definitely set that up with Authentic or FreeIPA, something like that, or use FreeIPA through Authentic to do the OAuth 2. I think it's a really, really great system. So having this set up to be kind of logged into by your users, by your clients, things like that, where you're running their auth system as well, it's pretty great, and it makes it a much more seamless experience for them. All right, as I said, I do not want to do an in-depth tutorial on this. There's a lot here. There's a ton here. But if you're searching for something, so you want to say new site. I'm going to look for new site. It's going to bring me to several different things. And we've got these badges, but you can see right here, full site name and short name for site, e.g. a single word. So we can put in here what I put earlier, OSIA Learning. And I can just put that again, and we can save the changes. And if you look, now it says OSIA Learning. It does not say new site anymore. Now, if you go back to the main page, it's also going to say that, but it's not going to have a ton of information. So you haven't set up any courses or anything like that for your users. That's where a lot of the front page stuff is going to come from, and you have to go through and do that. But know that there is a pretty good search over here, and it does find a lot of things that you're going to be interested in. And if you're trying to figure out how to do something, checking out that search is going to help. Their documentation is also really good, so I'll have that linked in the show notes for you so that you can get to it very easily. Definitely go check out the show notes. Make sure you follow that as a step-by-step guide. As time goes by, my guide will probably get out of date. You may have to go back and check out their documentation to see what things have changed. It's always worthwhile to do that to make sure you're the most up-to-date you can be. But one of the things I want to point out is I'm going to quit out of the log. So the log is still running. I'm just going to hit Control-C to stop seeing the logs. And I'm going to go back into our compose file. If you look here, we're just getting the latest version of MariaDB. But down here, we're actually getting a fixed version of Moodle. Let me go right here. So right here, we're getting Moodle 4.5. We're not getting Moodle latest. And this is intentional. I want this to be a stable version. So you need to keep an eye on Moodle and when it updates. And if it has a newer version, you might want to just right here, instead of putting 4.5, you might want to go if it's 4.8. Or maybe it's 5.2, maybe it's 10.27, I don't know. Just make sure you put the right one. Right now it's 4.5, which is fine. I'm going to just quit out of that and not save the changes, but note that that is pinned right now. So if you want to update in the future, you'll definitely want to go and change that version. Then you just run the same command, docker compose pull, and that'll pull down the new images, and then you run docker compose up -d, and it'll start up the system with those new images intact. All right, there's a ton inside of this software. It is an incredibly powerful suite. I highly recommend you go check it out, especially if you've been thinking about starting up an online course system. It is really tremendous. It's really cool. I think it's just great that we have this capability in this day and age to do online courses and online learning. And being able to get out there and teach people things and have them take courses to learn things is absolutely one of the most fun things ever. When I was a kid, I mean, I did fine in school. It wasn't something like I was like, I want to go to school today, you know. Now that I'm a grown up and I've had to have a job for years, I'm kind of like, why didn't I just take advantage of school while I was there? I love to learn. I love to learn new things. I love to learn things I should have learned back when I was a kid. So yeah, I'm super excited about this one. I know you can tell that, but I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.